U.S. President Donald Trump gave Hamas until Sunday, October 5th evening, to reach an agreement on his plan for Gaza's future, calling it a last chance for the Palestinian militant group. An agreement must be reached with Hamas by Sunday evening at 6 p.m. Washington, D.C. time, Trump wrote on Friday, October 3rd, on Truth Social. Every country has signed on. If this last chance agreement is not reached, all hell, like no one has ever seen before, will break out against Hamas. Trump on Tuesday said he would give Hamas 3 to 4 days to accept the 20-point document, which calls on the group to disarm, a demand it has previously rejected. Hamas is reviewing the proposal, a source close to the group said on Wednesday. The plan specifies an immediate ceasefire, an exchange of all hostages held by Hamas for Palestinian prisoners held by Israel, a staged Israeli withdrawal from Gaza, the disarmament of Hamas, and the introduction of a transitional government led by an international body. Hamas has been a ruthless and violent threat for many years in the Middle East. They have killed and made lives unbearably miserable, culminating with the October 7th massacre in Israel. Babies, women, children, old people, and many young men and women, boys and girls, getting ready to celebrate their future lives together. As retribution for the October 7th attack on civilization, more than 25,000 Hamas soldiers have already been killed. Most of the rest are surrounded and militarily trapped, just waiting for me to give the word, go, for their lives to be quickly extinguished. As for the rest, we know where and who you are, and you will be hunted down and killed. I am asking that all innocent Palestinians immediately leave this area of potentially great future death for safer parts of Gaza. Everyone will be well cared for by those that are waiting to help. Fortunately for Hamas, however, they will be given one last chance. Great, powerful, and very rich nations of the Middle East and the surrounding areas beyond, together with the United States of America, have agreed with Israel signing on to peace after 3,000 years in the Middle East. This deal also spares the lives of all remaining Hamas fighters. The details of the document are known to the world, and it is a great one for all. We will have peace in the Middle East one way or the other. The violence and bloodshed will stop. Releases the hostages, all of them, including the bodies of those that are dead now. An agreement must be reached with Hamas by Sunday evening at 6 p.m. Washington, D.C. time. Every country has signed on. If this last chance agreement is not reached, all hell, like no one has ever seen before, will break out against Hamas. There will be peace in the Middle East, one way or the other. Thank you for your attention to this matter. President Donald J. Trump.
I think what's going to happen is they're going to be hunted down. Hamas didn't really want to make a deal. I think they want to die, and it's very, very bad. And it got to be to a point where you're going to have to finish the job.
U.S. President Donald Trump has now urged Israel to finish the job against Hamas, signaling a dramatic shift from diplomacy to direct confrontation. Speaking from Scotland on a private visit, Trump declared, "I think they want to die. You're gonna have to finish the job." This comes just days after he withdrew his special envoy, Steve Witkoff, and key U.S. negotiators from stalled Gaza's ceasefire talks. Trump added, "They're gonna have to fight and clean it up. You're gonna have to get rid of them."
Well, the Gaza situation, and I said this was going to happen when you get down to your last 10 or 20. We got a lot of hostages out. We took them out in numbers that nobody believed, a lot of them. And I said, when you get down to 10 or 20, I don't think Hamas is going to make a deal because that means they have no protection. And basically, that's what happened. Hamas didn't want to make a deal.
Have you seen that photo?
I think what's going to happen is they're going to be hunted down. They pulled out of Gaza. They pulled out in terms of negotiating. It was too bad. Hamas didn't really want to make a deal. I think they want to die, and it's very, very bad.
Are you done with
And it got to be to a point where you're going to have to finish the job. And I said this was going to happen when you get down to your last 10 or 20. We got a lot of hostages out. We took them out in numbers that nobody believed, a lot of them.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, meanwhile, insists his government still seeks a ceasefire, even after pulling negotiators from Doha. He accused Hamas of sabotaging the process, but his military continues strikes deep into Gaza as pressure builds from allies in the UN.
This is the final day of a historic visit following the historic victory in the war against Iran. What was agreed upon between President Trump and myself regarding issues related to Gaza, the region, and even beyond the region, there will be more to say about that. I would like to begin this day by sending my heartfelt condolences on my own behalf and on behalf of my wife to the family of the victim murdered in Gush Etzion. We have achieved very significant accomplishments in the fight against terrorism, both in Judea and Samaria and in the broader region. But there are also painful costs. I would also like to send, on your behalf as well, a heartfelt and strong embrace to the family of the victim. May God avenge his blood. Yesterday I met with families of hostages whom I invited, both families of hostages who have fallen and those who are still alive. I invited them here so they could be present at the conclusion of the visit, because this does not bring the affair to an end. We are determined to bring everyone back. I told them that. I told them that right now we are trying to achieve the release of half of the living hostages and the fallen in exchange for a temporary ceasefire of 60 days. At the beginning of this ceasefire, we will enter negotiations to end the war permanently, that is, a permanent ceasefire. In order for us to achieve this, it must be done under the minimum conditions we have set. Hamas lays down its arms, Gaza is demilitarized, and Hamas no longer has any governmental or military capabilities. These are our basic conditions. If this can be achieved through negotiations, all the better. If this is not achieved through negotiations within 60 days, we will achieve it by other means, by using force, the force of our brave army. We said the same thing regarding Iran, the removal of the nuclear threat. If this can be achieved in 60 days of negotiations between the United States and Iran, all the better. But if it is not achieved, it will be achieved by other means. I hear the questions coming from the public, from the fighters, from the reservists. Why is this taking so much time? First of all, this is a battlefield that no army in the world has ever faced. And thanks to the bravery of the fighters, thanks to the sacrifice of the fallen, thanks to the tactics, we have reduced and dismantled most of Hamas's military capabilities, but not all of them. There are still thousands of fighters there with weapons, and we want to act, again, through a combination of diplomacy and military force. And military force, if diplomacy does not work in order to complete the mission, we also had an American embargo: not enter Rafah, do not capture the Philadelphia corridor. These are not easy things. We overcame that as well. Now we want to complete the operation. And I remind you that during the past month, the recent months, as we were preparing and ultimately carrying out perhaps the most brilliant military operation in our history, or certainly among the most brilliant that has amazed the entire world, even as this was happening, We continued to advance in the Gaza Strip and to rescue hostages, the fallen, all at the same time. From the very beginning, we have maintained an unwavering commitment to this endeavor, never once relenting or easing our efforts. Our dedication has been absolute and continuous, a persistent force that has driven us forward without interruption. Even at this precise moment, as time progresses, our resolve remains as strong as ever. We are not, and have not been, letting up for even a single instant. This steadfastness is a core principle of our approach, a testament to our enduring commitment to the objectives we have set. Despite this unwavering determination, we encountered significant opposition. They, referring to external parties or authorities, explicitly communicated their disapproval, stating unequivocally, no, thereby rejecting our proposals or efforts. This direct refusal presented a considerable challenge, yet it did not deter our persistent pursuit of our goals.